Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Taylor and today I have a book haul. I have several books that I have acquired over the winter months. These are from around Christmas time because I haven't really been purchasing any books in the month of January. So this is a little bit overdue, but I have a pretty good stack here, so let's just jump right in. I think I'm gonna do the literary fiction classics section first. First, I have a book that has been on my radar for a really long time and has been recommended to me by several people, and I just didn't pick it up. I don't know why, but I finally did at my local bookstore. James by Percival Everett. This is a retelling of The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain, but it follows the perspective of the enslaved man Jim, who in this story is renamed James. He is trying to escape slavery and get back to his family, is what this has been described to me. I've never read The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. Have no idea really what takes place there, but I'm very excited to read this because I've heard nothing but fantastic things. And then I decided to pick this book up just kind of randomly. I want to read more classics, but I wasn't really sure where to start, so I just grabbed this one day. I've never seen the movie of this, but I heard that it's a wild ride. From what I understand, there is a different sort of slang and language in this book, and it can be really helpful for you to listen as you read along, so I will be doing that. This follows our main character, Alex. He is a gang leader, and they are causing a bunch of riots, and he thinks that this violence is going to, I don't know, cure him or the government or something, but that doesn't quite work out the way that he wants it to, I don't think. This is more like dystopian, horror, classic thriller type vibe is what I'm gathering. So I'm very interested in this book. It's rather short, so I feel like I could read this in a day if I really sat down and delved into it. And then I do want to watch the movie at some point as well. The next book is something that I probably should have read a while ago, and I think all of us should read, given the current state of affairs. So this and multiple books, really. That is The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. I've seen the series, and I live in the United States, so yeah, I think we all know what this one is about. I really do like this edition, though. I have another copy of this somewhere, and I can't find it, and it was driving me nuts, and I saw this, and I was like, I really like this. I could really, really annotate this book, so I picked it up. Really should get to this soon. So I'm going to go ahead and get into some of the fantasy books that I purchased, and this first one I've actually already read and finished, and I'm working on the second book right now, and that is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. I really, really loved this book. I think I ended up giving it 4.5, maybe 5 stars. I'm already on Ruthless Vows. I love our two main characters so much. But in this book, we follow Iris Winnow and Roman C. Kitt, and they are battling at work for the columnist position. They're both journalists, they're both writers, and they really want the title of columnist. And also with Iris, she has this typewriter that she uses that's been in her family for years, and one day she's writing, and she's trying to write to her brother that has actually been called to war. Because in this world, the gods and goddesses are at war. There's 2 of them in particular that are warring, and he gets called out, and she is writing him a letter. But when she writes this letter, she gets a response from, like, her wardrobe. Like a letter just kind of... And along those same lines, I bought Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross. I can't wait to read this. This is the prequel to the Divine Rivals duology. It's set in the same universe, of course, but it's like 600 years before Divine Rivals. So with this one, we're following a goddess and then a mortal. They are, I think she comes to him in his dreams or something, and he writes her a letter, and she comes into his dreams, and I don't know where it goes from there. I really don't know. I'm just excited to have another book written by Rebecca Ross because I'm obsessed with her writing. I really am. Then I have The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. I've heard about this book for a long time. Never picked it up. I'm really hoping that it lives up to the hype because I'm scared that I'm falling for the book talk hype surrounding romantasy. So what I know about this book is that we follow our main character, Sybil, who is a diviner. And that means she gets visions in her dreams from these things called omens. And she is actually under some kind of, I'm going to call it a contract, I think with maybe the religious institute she's part of or the government or something, I don't know. She has this contract where she has to do this for 10 years, and so do the other people that are diviners with her. But towards the end of her contract, is again what I'm going to call it, people start going missing. So she has to team up with this knight, and they're trying to figure out where these people are going, what's happening to them, and what's causing this. This next book I picked up randomly at my local bookstore during one of the sales that they were having. If you're ever in the area, there's a bookstore called Books by the Bay in LaPorte, Texas. Highly recommend you check them out. I don't know much about this one really, but it's The Book of Doors by Gareth Brown. I picked it up because the cover was cool, and I liked the title. So, I don't know. I know it's a book about a book, and this book is special. It opens up different realms, and that there's other people trying to get the book. So it's a very poor synopsis of what this is, but that's what I got. This book I've heard very mixed reviews on, which makes me very sad, because I'm gonna have to read the first book again and then pick up this book, but that's We Love You, Bunny by Mona Awad. I remember reading Bunny, what, 3-4 years ago? I don't remember when that book came out, to be honest with you, but it's been a long time. I remember that there's this cult, I believe, of women that are killing men. I think it's just men. Don't remember anything else. This book follows the same main character from that book, I believe. Her name is Sam, and she has published her first novel, and I hope I'm getting this right, but she's writing about the bunnies, and they find out, and they do not like that, so they kidnap her. And I would imagine they torture her. I would think. If you're going to go through the trouble of kidnapping, you probably would take that next step too. But they are going to tell their version of the story, and I think how the bunnies became to be. So hopefully I enjoy this, but I've seen some pretty mixed opinions on this one. So let me know if you've read it and what you thought, because I'm a little bit scared to pick it up, to be honest. And then I have some horror, because it's one of my favorite genres. And I'm just going to start with this one because I'm actually already in the middle of reading it, and that is Empire of the Damned by Jay Kristoff. This is the second book in the Empire of a Vampire series, I think is what it's called. I don't know, that's the first book. And in this book, we're still following our main character, Gabriel de Leon, and a few other people, but I don't want to give that away, as he's trying to help save the world. In this book, the world has gone through what's called day's death, and there's hardly any sunlight anymore, and the vampires have taken over. Gabriel is a silver saint, and he's the last of his kind, and basically they were kind of, I don't want to say bred to fight the vampires, but they kind of were, and they're trained, and they have these tattoos, and they're skilled, and they're whatever. They're trying to fight the vampires and fix what's going on in the world, and that's what he's trying to do. And this book is a very dark fantasy series. Very, very dark. Trigger warnings for a ton of things, so if that's something that you look up and you would like to know ahead of time, definitely do that with this series, because there's a lot. There's a lot in there. This book is going to take me a long time to get through, but I'm very excited about it. This is King Sorrow by Joe Hill. So I know that this book follows 6 college students, and something happens with our main character, and he ends up having to go and steal a book or something from his college library or a library, and that's like the worst thing he could possibly do. Like, this is just not what this guy does. And somehow they end up striking a deal, like a bargain with a dragon. I don't know how that happens. Turns out when you make a deal with a dragon, there's consequences to those actions. And so now they have to sacrifice one person a year to this dragon, or the dragon's gonna come for them. I mean, yeah, you make a deal with a dragon, there's like consequences, so makes sense. I also decided to pick up When the Wolf Comes Home by Nat Cassidy. I really like Nat Cassidy. Granted, I've read one book, so that opinion could totally change. I have this, and I also have Nestlings I need to get through, but this one I was recommended by my fiance's friend, Can't remember his name. I met him one time and we saw him at the bookstore and he recommended this. I do know that in this book our main character, don't remember her name, Jess. She finds a 5-year-old runaway and the dad starts to chase them, but there's something wrong with the dad. Like, there's things going on there, and I'm pretty sure the dad is trying to kill her and the child. And the dad is not quite what he seems. Now, we would assume werewolf based on this, but I've heard that there's a little bit more to it than that, so I'm very excited to get into this. I think I'm going to read Nestlings and this maybe kind of back to back and just do like a Nat Cassidy reading vlog because I really like his writing, and they're not very long books, really. So I feel like I could get through them pretty quickly. This next book was also recommended by that friend, and that is Old Country by, I think they're 2 siblings, Matt and Harrison Query. I know it follows a couple, and they move to kind of like a more rural, remote place in the country to kind of get away from corporate America. They need a fresh start. They move there with their dog. I know there's a dog involved, which reminds me I need to look up info on that. But they are visited by a couple of their neighbors who warn them about some spirits that kind of roam the land and the supernatural elements that are kind of going on there. And with each season in this book, things get worse. It sounds like a great time to me. I really like horror, I like supernatural, I like the paranormal, I like scary, so hopefully I really enjoy this. These next 2 books I bought solely because of the covers. I'm gonna be honest with you, which is something I tend to do. I'm either influenced or I buy it based on the cover, which I know you don't judge a book by the cover, but hey, who would I be if I didn't do that? First is Breathe In, Bleed Out by Brian McCauley. I think is how you say his name. I know that in this book we follow Hannah, and she is trying to escape her past a little bit. She goes on this trip with her fiance. She's the only one to come back. And people think that's pretty suspicious, which it is pretty suspicious because nobody knows what happened. And she's either not telling them or she doesn't know. And I would hope it's, her not knowing, because she's a little bit suspicious there, Hannah. So to get away from that, she goes on a spiritual retreat, probably to start over and, work through all of her trauma and her demons, whatever. But while she's at this retreat, the guru there is kind of weird. He's giving off a strange vibe, and he's really into the supernatural, and she thinks that he's a little bit strange. And while she's there, people start disappearing and ending up dead. So a little bit of a fun murder mystery. I'm hoping that some of this is satire, just because the back says don't kill my vibe. I really hope that that's not supposed to be serious. Lastly, I have The Bog Wife by Kay Chronister. This one, for some reason in my brain, I can never remember without reading the back. But in this book, we follow the family Hadsleys, I think is how you say that. And they live in West Virginia. With this family, they have to sacrifice its patriarch to this bog that sustains them. In exchange, the bog produces a bog wife. Brought to life from the vegetation, this woman is meant to carry on the family line. But when the bog fails or refuses to honor the bargain, the 5 discordant Hadsley siblings, can't talk today, who are also still grieving the loss of their mother, who mysteriously disappeared years earlier, face an unknown future. This is a gothic, eco-horror, psychological drama, and family saga. Sounds interesting to me. I did do the thing that you're not supposed to do, and I looked up some reviews on it, like after I purchased it, and there are some mixed reviews, but I didn't really read into them because I want to form my own opinions, so hopefully I like it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you've made it this far, I really appreciate you. That is all of the books I have for today. I really want to get back into filming and doing more videos, so if you have any video ideas that you would like to see, let me know. I do want to do some more reading vlogs. I have a couple of books that I need to review because I've read some recently and I've taken notes so I remember. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!